You're looking to get those forced edges on your book to make it a little extra special, but you don't use Vellum. Maybe you use Atticus or MS Word to write and format your manuscript. Well, don't worry. I'm going to show you how the forced edge generator can work for any manuscript. So let's go hop into it and make those edges beautiful. So I've already gone in and taken my manuscript and put it into Atticus like you would any manuscript. And this will work whether you use Atticus for writing and or formatting or just one or the other. So what we're going to do in Atticus is we are not going to use the export doc file. You can use that to get a working manuscript, and you could even go from a doc file to a PDF, but let's just skip the step and go straight to the PDF. But once we have that PDF, we're going to open it up in whatever PDF viewer you have and just do a quick scan to make sure it looks the way you want before we move forward. That's an important step. Make sure that it looks the way you want the final product to look. Now I'm going to download, and there we go. I have a working PDF on my computer now. We can use that PDF to move into the forced edge generator. But first, let's just show you how it would work if you decided to use MS Word instead. So let's just do this really quick. This is a pretty straightforward process. With it open, we're just going to go to File, Save As, and we are going to name it New PDF or Final PDF. And then we're going to change it to Export Formats PDF. We'll get a couple options. I always just go best for printing and then export. Now, even if you're working in MS Word, you still have a PDF that can work with the forced edge generator. All right, I've done all my verification. Things are looking good. I'm ready to move on to the final step, which is the actual forced edge generator. So once I've logged in, here's what we're looking at. It doesn't look too complicated now. It's going to add options as we work through things. So I'm going to put in one of my books. And my book is 6x9, but you can see we have all the popular trims that distributors use. So these are pretty darn common. I'm only going to do one book, and I happen to know that my book is 328 pages. And now I'm going to download the template. All right. Once you have your template, you can put it into whatever piece of software that you feel most comfortable with. This could be Photoshop. It could be Affinity. It could be Llama something. I can't remember. Or you could have even used Canva. It does not matter what piece of software you have, as long as you have it going back out into a PNG file. We specifically need PNGs because it honors transparency. So once we have that, we can now move down. We have all our numbers still in here. And we are going to switch from artwork only to artwork and manuscript. This is the step that if you're using Vellum, instead of doing it here in the forced edge generator, you do it in Vellum. Or if you wanted to, even with Vellum, you could have it export a nice clean PDF with no edge artwork, and then you could put it in here and have a version with edge work. Really, this is meant to be flexible for everybody. So let's do artwork and manuscript combined, and you can see it opens up an extra little window right here. And so far, if we look at our previewer, there is no edge on yet. So let's go ahead and upload our edge first. You can see my edge is a nice little starry night because I write small town romance, and I decided to go obnoxious with my bright pink edges. Why not? And so in the 3D viewer, you can spin it around and see what it's going to look like. The good thing is this is a good representation of your file. This is a nice spot to check and go, are things looking the way I want? And as you scroll down, there's another way to preview. You can preview it as a flat page. And as we scroll through our pages, you're going to see the edges are going to slightly shift. And this is what's allowing us to see the stars here, the dark trees. It will slightly shift. Now, the important step for people who are using Atticus, we have to also include our PDF. So let's go ahead and upload our PDF. This is going to take just a quick moment. And now we can see what our book is going to look like as a manuscript with forced edges. And we can see I have some artwork in mine. And this is a good representation of the final product. So here we go. Now, I think the fun part, we're going to do some customization. Well, I want to see what a hardback would look like. So this will let me preview it as a hardback. And I'm going to do some, let's change the backer color. There we go. Now you can see that nice bright color, extremely clash worthy, but it's okay. Now we're going to go down, and here's where the question comes in. How deep do you make your slices? You can see if we go 75, let's look at it 60, 65 going to 90. Here's the reality. No printer officially supports what we're doing. This is a nice way for us to save a few bucks per book and to add something a little bit extra. There is no right answer. It's going to change if you're using KDP to print your forced edges or you're using Ingram. So far, I have heard the best comes from Ingram. However, Book Vault does a really good job if you are only doing the 4 edge. Now, I want to do all 3 edges. 90 is probably where I'm going to go. It does cut in pretty tight on my book, but you can see it's still a pleasant reading experience. I don't think it's going to bother the viewer, and I think the reward is worth the risk. Now, as we're going, we can choose our corner styles, and this is personal preference. There's no right or wrong. Right now, you can see they're mitered so that we have this nice 45-degree angle right here, or we could put the outside on top or put the square so the top bar goes all the way out. Now, for this particular design, we can add a border, but it's not going to be visible at first because the bleed slice is wider than this. So let's go and pull this back to 65 and then make this even further out. Now, why might you do that? I'm actually, you know what? Let's go a little bit crazy. We're going to go out to 125. That's a pretty bold edge. But what I want to do with it is I want to add a fade. So now there's a slight fade. Well, let's make it a little bit bigger of a fade. There we go. So now I have this nice fade going into the black all around my book. You can play with this. If you have transparent edges up here, so there's no artwork, you might want to put a border in. You might have a certain scrolly type effect, and you want to have a thin colored line around the whole book. You can absolutely do that right now. All right. One of the newer features that we've added in is the ability to exclude pages. So I'm going to do, let's do pages 1 through 10, just to make it easy to go find them. There we go. So we can do this if we wanted to exclude pages that have artwork. For instance, if I wanted to do 10 and 11, because I have a nice spread there. There we go. So that is a way to hide if you don't want it on particular artwork. Now, here's the best part. You're done. What's going to happen is the force edge generator is going to take your manuscript and overlay these edges. So I'm going to leave in those missing pages so we can verify it in a second. But once you are all set and ready, it's time to click the button and it's going to generate your PDF. It should go fairly quickly, but there's one more step. So we're going to hop into preview so that we can verify what we're doing is correct. This is going to be our final check before we upload it to Amazon, Ingram, Book Vault, whatever your distributor or preference is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through this. Now, what I always like to do is if I have it open in my previewer, I always like to make sure that it does side-by-side pages. So as I go through the book, I can see what it will look like when the book is down and open. And remember, we removed the first couple pages because I wanted to honor that first piece of artwork. But after this, we should see forced edges on every other page. So as we go through the book, we will continue to see the edges change. And this is what's giving it that image texture on the edge of our book. Once you've gone through this and it looks the way you want the reader to experience it, the next step is to upload it. and get yourself a good author copy. That is how we use Atticus or any other writing software to get to a PDF and then add our forced edges. So with that, go out, conquer the world, and best of luck with your special editions.